Hey everyone, I'm Dan from JazzComposersPresent.com, an online space where composers, musicians, and listeners come together to celebrate the music we love. I'm joined today by Olivia Trummer, award-winning pianist, vocalist, and composer. Olivia is here to show us how to organically tailor phrase structure to fit the melody.
Hello everyone, I'm excited to do my second mini lesson, and this place actually really fits the topic of organic elements in music. And I find sometimes that I compose without writing things down. Only in the very last moment I write the composition down, and then on paper I see, wow, it's actually completely irregular and there's some extra bars here and there or some extra beats. I think it's funny that I notice only afterwards when I write it down, because while I play it to myself and I shape it and I work on it, it sounds completely natural. And I think it's a good thing. So I thought to make this the topic of my mini lesson, to try to become more sensitive to the organic shape of a melody, and to a point where the melody actually shapes the form instead of form shaping melody, because particular melodies can happen in even forms, but they don't have to. They can also influence the form itself. And also to a point where the irregular element feels not irregular, not planned, but completely natural. I think to shape the form for the melody, it's important to give it enough space, like to let it breathe. And it's also important to avoid all kinds of unnecessary elements, or like avoid filling the bar or the form. And I would like to encourage you in this lesson to not limit yourself to even forms, or also not to adding or taking away just one bar or two bars, but to zoom in and think of smaller possibilities of giving edge to the melody. And the image that I have is like, I feel like a tailor who tries to fit a perfect dress for the customer, which would be the melody in this case, or the composition. So I try to really make it fit. And I think the best way to talk about this is to give you some examples. And I chose 3 examples. We start with a composition called Leaving Earth. It's an instrumental song from my first album, Nach Norden. I chose it to show how one little unexpected detail can change the feeling of a song. So let's hear Leaving Earth. Yeah, so there's really this Taylor idea very clearly, that the melody shapes the length of the bar. After the intro in 4/4 and the A part in 7/8, there is a 16th bar in the end of the first line. And it's just a reminder that there's no goals. Like, everything is possible. There's always one solution more in between. If you cannot decide between one or the other, you can also go right into the middle of it. Surprise yourself. And in this way of putting one moment of unexpectedness into the song, I think you kind of open the door into a sense of freedom and like a sense of possibility that benefits the whole song. This is an example for how one little detail gives edge to a composition. Now I would like to move on to a second example where the whole phrase is a bit irregular, and it is a song from my album Fly Now. The song is called Snow-Colored Streets, and it's about feeling the natural shape of the melody. Let's please listen to Snow-Colored Streets.
Snow crowded streets, generously sharing their wise open whiteness, pure and sublime.
So this is clearly a song with lyrics, and of course lyrics help to give clues about the phrase of the melody, like where do the phrases end and where do you need to breathe. This is obviously actually a help to have lyrics. There's a 5-bar introduction that is inspired by the A part, which is based on the lyrics, and I think of it as almost like a recitativo, where I just keep the natural pauses between the phrases as if I would speak it. And I also keep the tempo of the speaking speed, just keeping it really natural and making these pauses and breathers part of the form instead of trying to make it fit into the form. To me, it sounds very organic because I was trying to give each note the right weight and length, always listening to the lyrics. And I thought, as a little idea, what you could try also if you write instrumental music. I feel that we in the jazz world sometimes get caught up in playing in time, and we think of everything as played in time, and sometimes maybe we don't use the power of agogic enough, as classical musicians would naturally do. They would accelerate, they would slow down, they would breathe and put in fermatas. So maybe during the compositional process, I would try to play the melody or the composition freely instead of always in time, because that can become a cage. Our intuition, it can blur the natural pace and shape of the composition. So my encouragement is to play your compositions in a rubato mode, just using all the agogic possibilities and see how it reveals, and then make these insights into the shape of the form. There's one more example I would like to show, and it's also a song with lyrics. It's from an album called Dialogue's Delight, which is a duo album with me and a great Italian drummer, Nicola Angelucci. There is a song called Indifference, and I chose it to show, like to be the example for taking away the unnecessary. Here we go. Please, let's hear the B part of Indifference.
Can't wake up from a nightmare that's real. Can't break free if you refuse to feel. Don't know how we could make it, but we gotta shake off indifference and heal.
So yeah, you see at the end of the B part, there's a 5/4 bar, but actually what it is, it's a 4/4 bar that is complete, and then a 4/4 bar that is cut radically to 1/4. But I wrote it down in this way to make it more readable, more easier. Like, it's a reminder maybe to not just fill the bar with something, but to be courageous and cut where the phrase ends. It's very important to understand where a phrase ends. It's like where the phrase doesn't have anything more to say, like the point is said and then it ends, and you don't need to count up to 4 to make it a complete bar. This way of cutting less is more, and it also gives a nice contrast to the rest of the song, which now we cannot hear, but there's like an ostinato vamp of 2 bars throughout most of the song. So this sudden cut also has the purpose of giving a nice contrast to the rest of the song. And I would like to hear another part of this song to show how adding this irregular element can be inspiring the whole compositional process. So let's please hear the coda of the same song, Indifference.
Don't know how we could make it, but we gotta shake off indifference and feel. And heal. And
So here you can see how this irregular element that I found helped me to invent the end of the song. Like the whole coda depends on that idea, and it gives a nice contrast again to the rest of the song, and it's just a very nice, surprising way to end the song. And it's an example to show how finding that one little interesting element inside of the melodic idea can help on your compositional process, like inspire new parts, intros and endings. Again, I really work a lot by ear, and it helps me to keep the sound of my compositions really natural, even though when I write them down, I find that they're actually using irregular meters and forms. I would recommend you to try the same, just for the sake of not blur your intuition of what the music actually needs. As soon as we write on paper one certain meter, we will be influenced by it, and we will maybe overthink things. I think composing by ear can help you stay away from the expectations from fixed meters and forms, and instead it will help you to really use the garden of your composition, of what is already in the essence of your composition, and make it even more unique.
Thanks for watching today's mini lesson. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos down below. To watch our full-length events and participate in live Q&As with our presenting artists, head to jazzcomposerspresent.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.